So pretty much what you can do is you can create different settings for each of these, and then you could use your key switches to go from one to the other. So if we're just trying to sort of create a nice little flow, you know, we can go from Fortuna to Maria, then go to Lacrimosa and Kyrie. So it's incredibly intuitive, and it's very, very simplistic, and all you really have to do to be able to, you know, make solid performances with this library is, you know, preconceive these individual slots so that these are sort of set up like you want, and then just use key switches to go from one to the other, and you can really get an extraordinary sound. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this page. So this is their mix page, and you'll find our different mic positions are here. The balance between male and female choir is also here, so you can see we can actually activate female to male choir. Right now we have them both activated, which sounds like this. Only female sounds like this. Only male sounds like this. And it can go down nice and low. But then when you have them both together, you have much more range. So it's an incredible, incredible sound, and it's very, very intuitive. The user interface is very, very simplistic. So you can see all we really have is the engine page, which we can control things like whether male or female is activated. We can see our dynamics. We could have our different keyboard layout. So like with overlap, it's overlapping the two sounds. Space, it splits them apart. So you can see if we want to do like really, really quiet stuff, right? We can have piano. So like, or like. Right? And then if you want to do like super, super loud stuff, you know, you could be. So it's incredibly, incredibly versatile. So let's just take a look at this piece and sort of what we have going on here. So we, of course, start out with sort of like a very drony type thing, and that's actually from Forest Kingdom, which is a library by Eduardo Tarilonte, and that runs, of course, in the engine application via Cubase for me. And so that just sounds like this. Has a really nice sort of low bass sound to it. And we immediately start with our choir. So if I just sort of solo out our choir and we listen to it, has a very sort of nice ancient quality to it. And then if we play some of the other things that we have going on, mainly what we have going on is we have this sort of Novo butterfly patch, which is, I believe, from the violins. And it's sort of this very sort of high-end, lush, incredibly interesting sort of textural thing. Sounds like this. And then we have sort of this dark intro pad, I believe, from Gravity. And then we have this melody that comes in on the duduk, and it's also, of course, doubled by the harp. And then we have this very interesting whistling piano that's just sort of adding this high-end, weird hissing sound to it, which sounds like this. So that's what that sounds like. It's super, super cool, and I just sort of didn't put anything on it, just left it as is, and it sounds great. So then what we have going on here is we have a duduk coming in. So if I just, where the hell is it? Here it is. So yeah, so it sounds like this. And it just has such a cool sound. Like if you just play a pedal note, and then you go to a guy like this. So you have that whole feel. And then you add in the duduk. But anyways, that has a really, really cool sound to it. And so we have that, of course, doubled with the harp. There we go. It sounds like this. So we have that little ornament there, and really what it is just this sort of low bass presence, and then we of course have the duduk melody, and just it's really just about the textural feeling in this specific section. And we also have that novo intimate string thing, just sort of carrying that nice sort of high texture that creates some interest in the higher end of the orchestra. And then we have sort of these low drum hits. This is actually, again, from Epic World, which is another library from Eduardo Tarilonte. We then have this tremolo instrument that's from Play. It's from Silk. And by the way, for anyone wondering where the duduk is from, that is also from Silk. So if you... yeah, so here it is. And I'm currently running this sort of mod wheel patch. So, and then when we go into this section, what we have is we bring in the choir in a much more soloistic manner. And if you look at the MIDI, it's very simple. All we actually have is we have single notes, and then we have the mod wheel controlling our, not the mod wheel, the key switches controlling our various different phrases. So as I just play one of them, you know, that triggers one of the 7 slots. And it's very simple. It just automatically gives you that medieval feel to it, you know? And then we have this very interesting patch from Epic World, which is you know, again, the library from Eduardo Tarilonte, and it's this weird Gregorian phrase. And it was just hilariously in B minor, which is the key that I was writing in, so I was like, I'll just throw it in. It sounds cool. And then we, of course, have Joshua Bell violin. And so then as we go into this next section, what we really have going on are suspensions, right? So we start on B minor. Then we do A sus4, D sus2, E minor sus2, D sus4, G sus2, F sharp sus4. And then we go to F sharp major. Then we seventh it. We resolve it. Seventh it again. Resolve it. Introduce our leading tone. And then it, of course, goes where it wants to go. And that is doubled by this sort of string ensemble. So you can see I'm using chamber strings from Spitfire Audio. And we also have bassoons doubling it as well because it has a very choral quality. And you can see when you play them alone, they sound very sort of odd, but then when you play them in context, it adds this sort of otherworldly sort of warmth to it. And so, like, I guess the reason why I would have never used bassoons here if I hadn't have really studied sort of classical orchestration, because I'm trying to make this whole section sort of feel classical in a sense. And when I studied a lot of those sort of classical scores, whether it's Mozart, Beethoven, they're always using bassoons as that sort of like a really low end, nice, beautiful, rich sort of warmth, sort of to add that, I don't know how to describe it, sort of soft, sweet element to it. And so when you add that to the voices, it adds a sort of very nice warmth element to it. So it sounds like this. We have a stop, and that's when we have that dominant, resolve, then we turn that into a dominant, then we finally resolve it again, and then we have our leading tone, and then it leads where it wants to go, and it finalizes.